You got bigger balls than I got all day long. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him, bud. Yeah, you are yellow in the face, dude.
Alright, what's up everyone? I'm going to be going over today nostril stretching. Mostly going to be talking about my own nostril stretching. That's not going to be going over anything about my forward nostrils. I'll probably cover those in another video. Right now I'm just going to be talking about my side nostrils that are at 12 millimeters, half inch. I've had them for about 9 years now. I've had them done. This is the second time I've had them done. The first time from the clip you saw at the start of this video, those were done at one of the tattoo parlors I worked about 10 years ago. It's been a long time since I've worked at them. We've done it in a way I would not suggest having it done. You can still find that video on YouTube. I'm kind of ashamed of them, but we did it that way. This one that I have now, the set I have now, we've had them pierced at a 10 gauge. And I've stretched over the years to get it up as large as I have. I've had them at 14 millimeters before, and I decided one day I wanted not to have them anymore, so I took them out for a year. And seeing myself in the mirror every day without giant holes inside of my face, I just didn't like it, so I started stretching back. They shrank down to 10 millimeters, 9 millimeters area, and they got back up to a half inch in no time. The jewelry just kept falling out, so it was easy. They're my favorite modification I have out of everything I have, and I have plans to even get more stuff, and they still will be always my favorite modification I have done on my face. I just love the aesthetics that they have on my face. With it, I will say stretching your nostrils is not the same as like your lobes or anything like that, or even my lips with having them stretched. It's rough, not as rough as the septum, but it's rough. And you need to take your time. No matter what you're stretching, you should always take your time. And my suggestion on time frames, usually 3 to 6 months. The 6 months is always a better threshold, but 3 to 6 months on like small sizes. And sometimes I waited a year to longer in between the larger sizes, and I'm counting my 12 millimeters as a larger size in my nostrils, just because it allows them to want to stretch on their own without being forced. You shouldn't force jewelry into your hole if it's not ready for it. You should always want to take time. You don't want to do that. And I know from these, and we'll go over those in another video, there's a long story with my lobes. But you should always take your time. My nostrils, I've always wanted them. These are at my goal size that I had when I first set out and all this. I had them bigger, as I said, 14 millimeters, and I loved them. I just decided to go past it. I really wanted to go all the way up to 25 millimeters. It's 1 inch, but I never did. I'm having issues getting back to 14 millimeters, which is 9/16 for the ones who keep wondering what the heck that is. I just never gotten it back yet, but so I'm just fine with the 12, especially with what my plans are with these. That'd be a lot of clutter. But if you do it, get them done at the same time, like when you're going to go in and get your nose pierced, like say you don't have your nostrils right now, go in and get them with the thoughts of wanting to stretch. That way they're placed at a good spot where they look really aesthetically pleasing and centered for when you start to stretch, because that's what we did with mine. Some people even do punches with it, which I have no issues with that. It's just not me. I appreciate my nostrils more, where I started out such a small size and stretched up over so many years. I have a lot of time with them, and I respect them out of all the things I have the most. But having them punched, there's no issues with that. Like, I have tons of friends that have theirs punched to, I think some have done theirs at 4 millimeters to, not 4, my bad. Some have had theirs done at like a 5 millimeters. Some have done 10. I've seen different ones do them, different sizes. I I rather stretch. Like, I just felt like that was way better for me personally. It was what I enjoyed. Most of everything I've ever gotten, I wanted to stretch. It just appeals to me. A larger hole in my face especially. But do what's best for you. If you have any like questions, want advice on anything with stretching or ideals around it, feel free to ask me. I know a lot of us there's not a lot of us that have large nostrils. There are some. Not a lot of talk on it. I'm willing to talk on it. Like, what's it matter? Like, I'd rather you stretch it right than fuck yourself up. But I don't know. I just always enjoyed them. They've looked the best on me. I've always loved the look of it. It's just something you shouldn't do if you don't want it. It's definitely not a fan of a heart type piercing. It's best to do slowly over time. Take your time. Figuring out jewelry was always a hard thing for me, because the wearable, you have to have a small wearable when you get to larger sizes, so it was always hard to figure out what jewelry is going to fit for my nose, unless you go through someone that can do custom jewelry for you, which I've never done, which I regret never doing. I want to do it at some point when I get right with what I want. But finding wearables that are small enough to where it won't clog up your airways is hard. Like, because what I wear is what you would just wear in your ear, in my nostrils, so it was hard to find ones that were really small wearables with a small lip on the front, because these are single flares. I don't wear the O-rings on the inside. I know some do, but I don't know how comfortably you would put an O-ring inside your nostril. But other than that, that was a little talk on those. I do plan to try to start going back up again in them to not 25 millimeters. I don't think I'm going to ever reach that, but I wouldn't mind going bigger in my nostrils again, just because of the looks. Once I made it to 14 millimeters, I don't know, they just looked so much nicer than what these look. In my head, they did. But that's your plans for it. Some information on stretching them. Do take your time. Please take your time. You'll hear why I suggest always taking your time when you stretch, because when you hear about what happened with my lobes, you'll understand. But past that, just enjoy it. Take your time. Wear the correct jewelry. Always make sure they're healed up good. Don't force anything into them. And enjoy it all. But that's been a little bit of talking on my nostrils. If you have any more questions you'd like to have answered about my nostrils or nostril stretching period, leave a comment below and I'll get to it, or you can find me on Instagram and I'll answer your questions on there as well and put it in a video. But for now, make sure to hit subscribe, leave a comment below, even if it's just to say hi. Appreciate you.